Howdy, howdy, folks, and welcome back for another edition of the Wisco Movie Watchers Podcast. Brought to you by PT Creative. It is our first of 2025, and we are previewing all the movies coming out in 2025, or not all, per se, but we're going to be going through the entire year, giving some thoughts about some movies. It might be as simple as not interested and a little bit of dialogue, or it could be something that we're really, really enthused about. Now, before we get into it fully with myself and Dylan here, we want to thank you for 2024 again. It's been a lot of fun. We're going to have a lot of stuff coming out in 2025, which we'll get to at the end of this episode. But we will not be going into, unless it's something really pressing for us, we're not going to go into super detail about a lot of the summer movie slate from May through August. There's a lot of interesting movies coming out during that time, and we'll talk about it a little bit, but we're going to do a whole summer movie preview as that gets closer. So we're going to try to focus on some stuff. But, are you excited about the 2025 release calendar,
Eh.
What a way to start. What a way to start. I'm going to be throwing out some movies here, just seeing our reactions to them. Something is interesting about them. We're going to start January. The only movie coming out in January. Dylan, could you give us, what does Red Letter Media usually call January?
Well, they used to call it. They don't call it this anymore, but they used to call it "fuck you" in January.
Well,
'Cause
generally speaking.
That's where the studios used to just dump all their shit.
Yeah, or it just went, no one's going to see it anyway, so we don't have to get shit for this movie because it's bad. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. There's one movie that seems interesting that I'm invested in during January. January 17th, Blumhouse's Wolfman is being released.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep.
And that does look interesting. I give Blumhouse a lot of credit making modern tellings of classic monsters. That's something I think is quite interesting. And obviously they have an audience and they seem to be mastering that quite a bit. There's certainly a horror powerhouse in today's day and age, but it looks interesting. Not really any notable actors, but super interesting.
I think isn't Christopher Abbott in that?
Yes.
Yeah. I saw the trailer come up. I didn't watch it because I don't watch movie trailers really all that much. But yeah, when I heard there was a new Wolfman, it's modern day, isn't it?
Yes.
Eh.
But there's a lot of
That's a
tension.
little.
There's a lot of tension built in it. And I think what's
Oh,
nice
okay.
about this is I give Blumhouse a lot of credit. When they first did Invisible Man, I'm like, ah.
Yeah, that's true. Invisible Man actually was pretty.
When they first did Invisible Man, I heard the idea and went, no, no, part of the fun of those monster movies is the period piece aspect of it.
Yeah.
But the way they handle them is really good. And they kind of tell their own story to the point where you could coexist with a Universal Monsters esque, take, and you could do theirs simultaneously, and it wouldn't hurt anybody because they're just so different about what they're doing. So I think that's certainly something worthwhile to think about. But Blumhouse is on. I'm excited because I actually never watched Invisible Man all the way through. I've only seen little bits and pieces. A lot of Blumhouse stuff I know is very good, but I just haven't checked it out because it just doesn't speak to me in the moment. I'm very much a vibes watcher of a film, but I'm excited for Wolfman. I could actually see myself going to the theater for that one, enjoying it. Now, granted, Dylan won't be in the theater because Dylan hates the theater. But
True.
what would it take to get you back into a theater?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Is there like a certain
Something
property or a movie that would be like, yeah, I'd have to go for that?
might go maybe this new Superman movie just because I like James Gunn, maybe.
We'll talk
But
about that one.
even that, I don't know, just because I didn't see Guardians 3 in the movie theater.
Sure.
So I don't know.
We'll talk about Superman coming up. But we're going to continue. We're going to February here. Now, A24 fans will be eating a lot this year as they have 6 to 7 movies coming out in 2025. Hold for a second. I'm gonna disconnect the call quick and call you right back. Are you back and hearing me now?
Yep.
Yeah, I know. I that was me. I froze on that one. So, nonetheless, we are still recording. We're gonna be back in 3, 2, and 1. So, like I was saying, A24 fans are going to be eating it up this year as they have 6 to 7 films, I believe, coming out. I believe it's 6 because technically, I went on their website and they have, is it Baby Doll or something like that, or I can't remember what it's called, with Nicole Kidman coming out, but it comes out
Uh,
as of recording tomorrow because we're recording this on Festivus, if you will, 2 days before
yes.
Christmas. So that's still there, but they have 6 films coming out in.
And Baby Doll, I believe, is a negative pickup by them. That's not really. I don't think it was produced by them. I think it was made by someone else, bought by them. I think. So,
Okay.
pretty
Yeah,
sure.
I'm not fully understanding of their business model yet,
I think they're starting to just become just a regular studio at this point.
which I don't think is a good move for them.
Well, I mean, if they buy the right movies, on with it because they seem to know the movies they want.
I give them that
So
credit because they look like. The reason I say that is it looks like they're branching out more into. They're not just doing no, and this there's no disrespect in this statement, but they're not just doing these very off the wall horror based movies or surreal movies anymore. I'm sure there's going to be aspects of it in all their movies, but this year they have Parthenope. I don't even know if I'm saying that correctly, which is, woman's almost essentially a mermaid, it looks like, in this film, kind of figuring it out. Gary Oldman stars in that film. That comes out February 7th. February 28th, they have The Legend of Ochi, which looks far more like a venture film, almost in A24 style, which is quite interesting to say the least. They have a couple more coming out as well this year that look promising, look somewhat inviting.
okay, yeah. So Baby Girl, the Nicole Kidman one, was produced by 2AM, which is a production company, and then financed by A20. So, I
Um,
guess yeah, partially co-produced.
yeah, it's just one of those that A24 has a reputation of what it does, and everyone likes that reputation that likes it. So don't stretch it too far to the point where it's just like, oh, A24's got another movie.
They seem to be almost going into the Miramax kind of thing, almost where they're stretching into awards as well,
Yeah,
which I'm fine with, as long as they're also staying true to who they.
yeah. That's the biggest thing is you can't lose sight of who you are and what you do well and why people are intrigued by you in the first place. If you can't do that, don't do it in general. Know what you're good at and stick to what you're good at. That's half of entertainment in general is simply knowing accentuate the positives, hide the weaknesses. It's that simple. So, but A24 fans are going to be excited this year because they have 6 films coming. Still in February, though, we get our first major comic book blockbuster with Captain America Brave New World. This is starring the Anthony Mackie rendition of Captain America. We have Harrison Ford becoming Thaddeus Ross, Thunderbolt Ross, if you will. Not only is he playing the President of the United States, but they're also giving us the Red Hulk finally, with no mustache. Uh, this is an interesting film nonetheless. Do you have any thought on this before I go further with
Not interested in the least.
it? Not even Harrison Ford can get you a little bit?
I am just so done with Marvel, honestly. Like, so it's funny because I rewatched The Holdovers last night,
Sure.
and I had this thought. Uh, there's this really minor scene with like a really minor character who probably has like 10, 10 lines in the whole movie.
Sure.
Just this kid who he's crying in the middle of the night, crying by himself, and then someone wakes up next to him and asking why he's crying, and then he says he's crying because he misses his family in Korea, and then he also admits that he wet the bed. I was like, I care more about this character in 10 seconds than I do about the Falcon in however movie he's been in. Like, I care more about this kid in 2 lines than I do any Marvel character, pretty much.
So I think it's interesting. I did not plan it this way, but it's a good discussion to have. Marvel overexposed itself via Disney Plus. Disney Plus and Disney. Marvel was already like at critical mass where it couldn't do much more than what it was. And the excitement of Marvel's series was really interesting at first. But they overexposed themselves. Way too many movies simultaneously coming out with all these series, and it became impossible for many fans, myself included, to keep up with. And you know me, I love
Because
everything
like,
comic book.
yeah, everyone kept saying, "Oh, superhero fatigue," and it just never seemed to come. And finally, I think it's catching up.
I don't know if it's superhero fatigue, I think it's Marvel fatigue.
I I guess the true test will be Superman. Because if
Yes.
Superman does like box office, then yes, then it will be just Marvel. But
Because I think now audiences are going to demand. For a long time, I think the majority of the MCU movies are above average to good for the vast majority of people in general, right?
yeah, sure.
But some of those movies are carried by the fact that they are part of a bigger universe, and therefore we need to know what's going on in them so that it enriches everything later, right?
Yeah.
Audiences are now demanding with Marvel that no, we want them to be there, but we are not just going to give you the pass that they're part of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. You need to actually show us quality. And frankly, through their television series, their first four, I mean, they had 4 series in 2021. I mean, they went WandaVision to Falcon and the Winter Soldier to Loki to Hawkeye in 1 year. I mean, that's 32 fucking episodes of Marvel television. Let alone that year, they also released. Was it 2020 they released all that television, or 2021? I can't remember. But 2020, they didn't have a movie release because of COVID. But 2021, they come back, and it's Black Widow, Shang-Chi, Eternals, all within 4 months of each other. It's like, Jesus fucking Christ. We got
Yeah.
all these series to watch and all this stuff to the point where then we're getting series where, all due respect to the character, but you got stuff like Echo where no one's asking for that show. It has nothing to do with the character, but no one's asking for that show. No one's out there being like, I really want to see Echo. It's not the point. You know,
Yeah.
people want the
It's
heroes
like
that they want.
yeah, it's just like Star Wars where just throw too much at once.
Yeah.
They just for some reason they just don't understand that if like there is such thing as just too much
Yeah,
of something good.
it's very, very true. And that is where we're at with Marvel. I'm excited to come back. I think if anything's going to get me back, Daredevil Born Again and Captain America will, because they're two of my favorite Marvel properties. Specifically Daredevil. If that is done well, Daredevil will get me back to being like, yeah. Like I've yet to skip a Marvel movie, but I've definitely skipped series where I'm like, I don't need to
Yeah.
watch What If season 2. It's just whatever.
I've skipped I've skipped both at this point.
And unfortunately, that's the trend, and that's why I brought it up with A24. Ironically, because A24 understands what it is and what it does. For Marvel, you got to understand what you're doing. It's fine if you want to have movies and series, but then you have to pick and choose and cherry pick a lot more of what you're doing. And it's just I don't know if they have that talent at the moment. We'll have to wait and see. Captain America: Brave New World. It comes out on Valentine's Day. I'm certain I will be there at the theater to watch it because I do like Anthony Mackie's Falcon, now Captain America. Obviously, huge Harrison Ford fan, so it'll be interesting to be there. We're also going to go to the end of this because I think it's interesting. Do you know that there is a new Looney Tunes movie coming out?
I'm just looking at the release date with you. When is that?
It is February 28th. It's called The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes movie.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I did. It got cut off, so that's why I was like, I'm not seeing that.
Yeah.
Um, no, I did not know that was going to be out.
I only know that. I only knew that was coming out because I saw the preview previous to War of the Rohirrim. Also, let me tell you this.
Is it full animation?
Yeah,
Okay, okay. 2D or
it's probably a mix, but it looks 2D.
okay. It at least gives me some hope. I like that people are sticking to traditional a little bit more now.
Certainly. It's certainly something. Well, it was also talk about a weird experience of trailers. War of the Rohirrim, I got a trailer for Death of a Unicorn, which is an A24 movie. And I got The Day the Earth Blew Up, a Looney Tunes
Yeah,
movie.
that is odd.
And I was just like,
Yeah,
these are two very different things. And it's is if they knew they I will say as odd as it is, it's kind of perfect because they know, hey, these are nerds that are going to an animated version of Lord of the Rings, which means they're probably more mature. So we can give them A24,
yeah.
but same time, maybe they like Looney Tunes because of animation. I think it's interesting that they're going that route because to me, Looney Tunes is tailor made for Max. I don't understand why they haven't exposed that property more in a wider
That is
setting on
odd.
on Max.
Yeah,
That's why I'm bringing it up. I am a Looney Tunes fan, but frankly, outside of Space Jam, anytime the Looney Tunes have been on the big screen, it's usually not just bad, really bad.
true.
And
Yeah,
but I love those old Looney Tunes cartoons. I still am enamored with Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner. I love Daffy Duck and Bugs Bunny cartoons
yeah.
as well.
Honestly, they could even just do like series of shorts,
Yeah,
like different shorts, different characters, like one Wile E. Coyote and Roadrunner for like 10 minutes, and then Bugs for 10 minutes, and
it
then whatever.
if anything, what's hilarious to me is it's its own cinematic universe. It's like an OG cinematic universe, kind of like
Yes,
how
exactly.
how the Universal Monsters was, which no one thinks about it, but it's like no, that's truly a cinematic universe before we were into those things. If it were me and I had Warner Brothers, I at my disposal, I'd be like, why don't we just make like a 2 hour anthology movie where all of them kind of tie in at the end?
Well, I would just do like literally like 90 minutes of 10-minute shorts.
Also
Like
worthwhile.
kids are not going to be get bored because you're changing it every 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Parents, they know Looney Tunes, so it's like they don't give a shit.
Plus, you could do limited releases where it's out for like 2 weeks and you go, it's going to be on Max eventually, but
Yeah, it just seems like a weird choice to not do anything with it. So
I'm happy that it's coming back because and it's solely focused on Daffy Duck and
oh,
one other character. It's not like a true like Looney Tunes where in terms of theatrical experience where it's every Looney Tune possible. I find it hard to believe Bugs Bunny and a couple other prominent Looney Tunes aren't going to make an appearance somehow,
yeah.
but it's solely focused mostly on Daffy Duck, which I was like, huh. Okay, this is an interesting take. So I thought it was worthwhile to mention that. March. The only thing really of March that is of note, Disney's live action Snow White comes out, starring Gal Gadot and Rachel
Yeah,
Zegler. Wasn't
it's got
super.
bomb written all over it.
Oh yeah, it does. Admittedly, the trailer does not look good to me. I don't think the animation looks great,
Yeah,
or the
I've
CGI, I
only
should
seen
say.
like I've seen like a 10-second clip from it, which I mean, it's just kind of that uncanny valley thing of it. But honestly, what are you gonna do with it?
The
Is
dwarves
what
do
I
not
would
look
say.
good. The dwarves do not look good. You're right about the uncanny valley. It's just like there's
It's
something weird about it where you're just like,
well,
ugh.
it's very very cartoony, but at the same time, I'm like, well, what else do you want? If you go too realistic with it, you're gonna get a bunch of people upset. It's like you want this movie in more controversy than it already was. Probably not.
What doesn't make sense to me is looking at the trailer. Why does every Disney live action movie have the exact same aesthetic?
Well, that's the annoying thing. Is like literally they all do, which you could argue that's what they're going for. But
Just don't get that.
that's also the annoying part of it. Yeah, I don't like it either. But yeah, I have to assume that that movie already has spent well over 250, somewhere in the range of
Oh
300
yeah.
million.
Oh yeah.
And then and then advertising these other 150. So we're looking somewhere in the range of 350,
It's going to
400
make
million.
its money. I mean, we want to make it very clear. It will make
I
its
don't
money. It's a
I don't think
Disney
it's gonna
movie.
make
It's a Disney movie, dude. They
I don't
always.
think it's gonna make so like I don't think it's gonna make more than 600 million.
Oh, I don't think it's going to be a huge
I think
financial success for them.
I think if it breaks even at 500, that'd be a success for that movie.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. There have been movies in the past where the trailer just looks brutal, and you go and you're like, "Huh, actually a pretty good little movie."
Yeah. And
This does not
honestly,
give
it's
that
so
though.
stupid. That whole controversy was so dumb. Like Rachel Ziegler like deserves absolutely none of the like hate that she got from
Yeah.
it. So stupid. I yeah, it just drove me crazy that she got so much hate for no reason at all.
Yeah, well, it's the internet, dude.
Uh,
It's the internet of 2024,
exactly.
soon to be 2020. Well,
The
I
same
guess
thing
for
that
the
we talked.
recording of this, this comes out in 2025. We're recording it in 2024.
Yeah, it's the same thing we talked about with Anne Hathaway, where it's just like, why is she getting this hate for absolutely no reason? Like,
Yeah,
it's so stupid.
it's fucking dumb. But no, Snow White. Admittedly, the movie doesn't look great. Hopefully, it does well for the people who really want it
Oh,
to do well.
there is one movie in March. Believe here, real quick. Yeah, Black Bag. I actually watched a trailer for it yesterday.
Okay,
It has Kate Blanchett and
you have my attention.
Kate Blanchett and who else was it? Oh, Michael Fassbender. And it's
Interesting.
I think I think it's MI6 or yeah, I think it has to be MI6 because it was Britain, and it's a Steven Soderbergh movie
Oh,
where they're from. It's from Michael Fassbender's point of view, where he's the the spouse of Kate Blanchett, who's a spy.
oh, okay.
But it's like a very serious drama. It's not like any kind of farce at all.
Huh.
And it's like,
Unique setup.
yeah, they think that Kate Blanchett is a leak within MI6,
Uh,
and then Michael Fassbender works with him within MI6, and he has to find out if she is indeed a leak. Does he have like, if she is indeed the leak, does he have the will to actually like take her out?
huh.
Yeah, it looks pretty tense. I like Peter and I actually watched the trailer. I was like, it looks pretty good.
All right. Okay.
Soderbergh, really hit and miss lately, but
nonetheless,
Every now
he's
and then he hits pretty hard when he does hit.
yeah.
So
I like a lot of his rando stuff. Like I loved Lucky Number 11. I think that was very fun. Or what the fuck was it? Um, I can't remember what the name of it. With like Daniel Craig and it's like the racetrack or whatever. They have to like steal from the racetrack. That was kind of
oh yeah, yeah. It also has that guy from Bridgerton that
sure.
everyone loves.
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is, but everyone goes screams their pants for him.
It's Bridgerton, dude.
And
Of course it's gonna happen.
yeah, Naomi Harris, who I really like too. So yeah, good cast.
Yeah. We get into April. April, we start with Minecraft, with Steve being
Oh,
played by Jack Black. Jason Momoa also stars in that film. It's an interesting. I don't understand the approach of it. I don't understand why it's live action. I think Minecraft would have been tailor made for an animated feature. I have no like. I think Jack Black as Steve, no problem, no problem. It could be a fun voice, whatever. But in a live action setting where you know everything around it is artificial, it's just like, I don't
yeah.
know.
Not
But
interested in the least.
not really interested. What does pique my interest is 2 weeks later with the release of Mickey 17, starring Robert Pattinson, directed by Bong Joon Ho, which is best known for Parasite, Okja, Snowpiercer. That movie looks really fun and interesting. And the synopsis from the trailer
Uh,
is Robert Pattinson. It's like space exploration, and Robert Pattinson agrees to be essentially like an NPC where he can keep being brought back to life time and time and time again and keeps getting the worst, like, dangerous job ever. And he's just kind of like, whatever. But then naturally, two or three of him exist at the same time. It just looks like a very unique and interesting movie with the talents of Robert Pattinson to play different roles at the same time, which looks pretty fun.
yeah,
I
pretty
would,
good cast too.
yeah, I would highly
Tony
recommend.
Collette, Mark Ruffalo, Stephen Yoon. Yeah,
Yeah, it's a very interesting cast. I would highly recommend go watch the trailer. I saw that one. Did I get that one before Wicked, or did I get that one before War of the Rohirrim? I can't remember which one, but because I was in the theater like 3 days apart from each other to watch each. So very interesting movie to say the least. And another movie we have to talk about because I can't believe this is being made. Same release date. The sequel to Passion of the Christ, called Passion of the Christ
oh
Resurrection,
yes, yes.
is being made, and everybody's coming back. Or like Jim Caviezel or whatever is playing Jesus Christ again. Mel Gibson's directing. I I have no idea what the fuck's going on.
I never saw the first one, so
The most I know about the first one is the controversy of Mel Gibson and the South
yes,
Park
exactly.
episode based on it. That is what I've got for
Yeah, like I'm not a religious
you.
person,
Nor
neither
am
are
I.
you. So
Yeah, it's
like
not
we
gonna
have
be.
no reason to watch it. So
I mean, and we saw from the box office numbers when we were doing our big box office series. Passion of the Christ, the original, had a run where it could have been the number one movie of the year if it wasn't for like one or two movies. So this is going to have an audience based off of that religious market.
I'm sure it'll make money, but I doubt it's gonna make
Oh,
much.
I doubt it'll be the phenomenon that it was. Because that movie
Yeah,
kind of took over the zeitgeist for a while, unfortunately. But it's, I don't. The only positive I can take from it is Passion of the Christ comes out just a couple years after 9/11, where like
oh
everyone's
yeah.
just like searching for answers after a like major national tragedy. And on a daily basis, we live a national tragedy in the United States right now because our leadership is just. It doesn't matter what party you're on or for, who you vote for, whatever. Now, granted, the president we have coming to take office in a couple weeks, that's going to be bad. But so many people are just disillusioned, myself included, that movies like this tend to come out and speak to an audience during that time because they offer the idea of answers at a time when nobody has any. That's another reason
Yeah, actually,
Passion of the Christ came
I
out and did so well.
yeah, that's also something I wanted to mention with Black Bag was this seems to be like a golden age of spy thrillers now too, because there's like that and Black Doves, and there's that Gary Oldman show. It's doing really well. There's like a
Yeah.
bunch of spy shit coming out,
Well,
which was like the same thing as when Watergate and all that shit was happening.
yeah, no, I mean, people still don't
Political
realize,
tension.
people do not realize how often timing is important to a movie. There are
Yeah.
movies that are legitimately great. Where could you imagine if some of our favorite cult classics came out today, how well they would do? Like, how well do you think Clue would do in a modern audience? They'd fucking eat that
Yeah.
shit up. They'd be like, oh my god, this is so much fun, and three different endings and all these different ways to view the characters. Like, that's so cool. But at the time, it just wasn't right for the time. And that's half of these movies. And yeah, it's logical. I'm glad you brought up the spy thriller aspect. When everyone in the world doesn't believe a single word that a government says, that's perfect for spy thrillers. Because you can
Yeah.
kind of buy into liking one team, but then assuming that everyone's trying to fuck each other over. So it's really easy to buy into a spy thriller. I mean, shit,
Yeah.
even look at the way James Bond goes. Original James Bond is Queen and Country, Queen and Country. And by Skyfall, it is very clearly, I mean, I'm serving the greater good of Britain, but I don't know, man. Y'all might suck. And it just speaks to the political tension and the times that we're living in. But Passion of the Christ Resurrection comes out Friday, April 18th. We will be watching Mickey 17 that day, not Passion of the Christ. Our first big summer blockbuster, we'll just touch on it very briefly, is the Marvel film Thunderbolts. It is the second Marvel movie coming out this year. I don't believe a third is coming out unless something just pops up out of nowhere. You're going to get a lot of Disney Plus series to supplement, but they do look like they're kind of revitalizing what they're trying to do. But nonetheless, we have Thunderbolts coming out the first weekend of May. For those who don't know what Thunderbolts is, the easiest way to describe it is it's kind of Marvel Suicide Squad, but it's not that entirely. It's not like a direct one for one. But it's kind of like all the characters that are all kind of anti-heroes, but they usually end up doing the right thing. They all get together as a team up. So, interesting nonetheless. They are going to be introducing some interesting characters. From your face, I can tell you have zero interest in this film whatsoever.
Like I said, Marvel, I'm just not interested.
I'm I'm somewhat intrigued by this because we get the return of Florence Pugh's Yelena, who's essentially the new Black Widow, and we get to see the return of Bucky with Sebastian Stan. So there's at least some characters that I like and am intrigued by, where I'm like, okay, maybe this will be a good feature. Another prominent thing happening. I should have mentioned it with Snow White, but now's a good time. May, Lilo and Stitch live action comes out, and a couple weeks later in June we also get the live action How to Train Your Dragon. So we're seeing these
Yeah.
very prominent animated features becoming live action films. I don't know how we feel about that one. Uh,
I'm I thought we were done with this, but
what was the movie that you thought killed it?
I thought we were gonna be done with it after Aladdin.
Yeah,
Um,
Aladdin I really thought was going to be the end.
Even though I actually kind of enjoyed that movie for what it was. It wasn't great or anything, but
Yeah,
it's
I can
perfectly
I
fine.
can see that, but
But like, it wasn't like a huge success like Beauty and the Beast was.
yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know. I don't know what the immediate one was after that. Was it Little Mermaid?
No, it
or was
wasn't.
there one in
I
between?
think there's one in between. But yeah, Little Mermaid didn't do
Yeah,
super well compared to what people thought it was going to be.
yeah. Because I'll look them up right now. Because there was Little Mermaid, which was pretty successful, but I don't think it was like a huge hit for Disney.
Disney's Disney's really hit or miss right now. Disney's just, and they're not financially doing super well. That's the big thing. Like Wish was not a
Well,
success for them, but then like Inside Out 2 comes out and is the number one movie of 2024 as of recording. Maybe I doubt
uh,
anything catches it, but
okay, so it was Beauty and the Beast 2017, Christopher Robin, which
I don't count that.
I'm sure that made its money back, but yeah, Dumbo,
Dumbo did really
Aladdin,
poorly. Dumbo was the one I thought might kill it.
but then Lion King did extremely well.
Sure.
I think that was the biggest or the second biggest grosser that year.
Well, also the Lion King. I mean, we're getting just got a fucking as of recording. We just got a new Mufasa movie. Like I don't give
Yeah,
two flying.
exactly. And then okay, so there's actually quite a few in between there. Yeah, so it's Maleficent, the second one,
That did.
Lady and the Tramp,
Ooh, but that
Mulan.
was Disney Plus specific. I think Lady and the Tramp was.
Okay, Mulan,
That didn't.
Cruella.
Both were COVID casualties. Mulan wasn't great.
Yes,
It was mediocre as it gets, and Cruella I really liked, but I don't. But again, it was a COVID casualty.
yeah, and then Pinocchio and Peter Pan, and he were both Disney Plus, right?
They're both Disney Plus specific. Well, I don't know
And
about
then The Little Mermaid.
what was Pinocchio? I don't remember because it wasn't like Tom Hanks eventually supposed to play like Geppetto
Oh,
and
he did in
was
that
that
movie.
was that theatrical release or Disney Plus specific? I don't know.
I don't know, but that movie sucked.
Okay, so you watched it and it sucked.
I watched parts of it. I turned it off because it sucked. Like
Yeah,
that movie, in terms of like the, I don't know how much they spent on it, but it looked like garbage. Like it looked really bad.
well, that's another thing to talk about with a lot of these new movies is Disney is exhausting special effects houses everywhere because of Marvel and
Yeah,
because of their other properties. Where Disney is truly exhausting special effects companies to the point
yeah.
where to the
So I
brink
mean,
of a lot of them going bankrupt and not being able to function anymore.
yeah. So I guess they're yeah. I thought we were done with Aladdin. Nope, not even close.
What I don't understand is some of the choices that they've made in live action I get, some I don't. I don't think
Yes.
I what I like about the idea of going to live action for some of these is some that have a sense of tangible reality that could bring a real spectacle to the theater when you add some of that Disney magic that could be done. And I know theoretically you could make the argument for everything. Mulan was one I thought that's perfect for live action. There's outside of one little creature which they didn't even do, or two
Oh
creatures.
yeah, that's right. They didn't.
Well, Mulan they went super serious. They had none of the music.
Yeah,
They
yeah,
didn't do a direct. They made it like a Chinese historical epic, and I was like,
yeah,
that's not reading your audience correct. I mean, I know they were trying to be more sensitive to the subject material, but and then there was the whole controversy where the actress came out like super pro China during all the protests of them trying to take Hong Kong, which also did not help. And it was a COVID casualty, but at the same time, that movie was just cursed from concept to release.
yeah. Well, I mean, you only have yourself to blame
Right, but
for Disney. Do
if
your research.
if you were gonna, I can't like Peter Pan makes sense to me to make it live action. It's all human characters outside like one.
That's that one's fine because that's also not like you're not making that for $200 million. It's a Disney Plus thing. That's fine.
And if like I'm just thinking, what could actually get me intrigued? And I know we've done a cult classic series and we found out we weren't in love with the movie as much. You put Black Cauldron in live action, I'm fucking there. Because how dark that movie is, I'm like,
Yeah,
it's
but
not
they
going to
wouldn't
make
make it
money.
like that.
Exactly, that's the problem. But that's a movie that makes sense to me because it's tried and true fantasy, some darker elements, and outside of a pig and Gurgi, it's all human characters for the most part. Like even the Horn King, you
Yeah,
can say he's not human. Okay, well he's still clearly humanoid.
humanoid. Yeah,
So you can just play in that world. Where some of the choices, like I don't understand why people want a live action Lion King, and I think that's the death nail because it made so much money. Disney was like, "No, this is a good idea," and I'm like, "This is not a good idea."
yeah. I I mean, I got why it made so much money just because Lion King is just like as a property is just
Yeah,
like
it's so popular.
it's it. Yeah, it's undeniably popular.
Yeah,
Um, but like that movie just didn't make sense to me why it got so big because like you can't show emotion on a realistic lion, you know? Like you can't read emotion.
yeah, it's harder to read emotions certainly. So,
It just doesn't make sense to me. So it's like I don't know.
but
I
ironically, I look Lilo and Stitch is a movie I think is perfect for live action. It's a couple aliens, otherwise it's all humans, and it's set in a
true.
tropical setting, and I'm like, that makes sense to me. We're not having to create everything from scratch. And if
Yeah.
you're
I
smart,
mean, I'm not gonna watch it, but
I
it's fine.
assume I
Yeah.
assume no matter what, I work with children again. There's somehow, some way, I will be watching that movie.
Yeah.
Whether I actually go to the theater or not is a different story. But I find it hard to believe I won't be watching that movie. How to Train Your Dragon, same deal. I don't. The music hit at the end of the trailer, and even I was like, "God damn, okay, this is an undeniable property," but not
Yeah.
something I was super
I
intrigued by.
uh I didn't even know this was coming out until a couple weeks ago when you told me. Yeah. I it's just like it's really discouraged me because like that property's not even it's like 10 years old, right?
How to Train Your Dragon technically is 15 years old by the time of release,
Okay.
but still,
So
it's
like
not.
that's not that's not old enough in my point of view to like warrant pretty much a reboot.
Yeah, yeah. I
It's
mean, I
it
look at.
doesn't make
We
sense
just
to
talked
me.
about it. Beauty and the Beast, I thought was pretty good. That movie came out 26 years after the original, or 25 years after the original.
26. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, okay, and it's a completely new format with live action. Makes sense. Also, did you mention Cinderella in that live action sequence? Because I
Oh
also
yeah,
thought,
2014.
yeah. So
I
Cinderella,
actually like that movie quite
Cinderella,
a
I thought
bit.
was pretty good. That's the thing. They started doing it well, and then it just felt like we're getting inundated with some of this shit. But yeah, How to Train Your Dragon. I hope for the fans of the franchise it goes well. It's not something that's gonna pull me. I probably will end up watching
It
because I
could
know Ab will
be
want to go. But
yeah, they could be also doing it because they are releasing or they're opening that new Universal theme park
yes.
that has the How to Train Your Dragon world in
Oh,
it.
dude, they are going
So
hard on the theme park stuff right now to the point where they just had the
so
Sunday
that
they just had the Sunday Night Football crew at fucking Universal. They don't ever do shit like that at Sunday Night Football.
yeah.
That's a college game day thing, and they brought them to the theme park because they're going all in on like this the new wave of we're making all these different lands like Harry Potter world. But
Yeah, cuz it's 5 new worlds at the new Epic Universe
yeah,
thing. So
the Dark Universe intrigues me. I want to see that shit.
that's the one that that's the one that I want to
And I still
um
want to get to Super Mario World. I think that's tailor made for me. But all reports are it's incredibly small, and
yeah.
that's the thing. I'm like, oh, like that's to me a Nintendo World that should just dominate an entire theme park. The Dark Universe to me should
It's
be an
just
entire theme
yeah.
park.
It just the way that IP just continues to rule.
Yeah.
It's just it's just really, really upsetting.
Yeah. I get it.
And we can't just get new IP ever.
Yeah, I get that.
Or not even attempts at it.
Yeah, that's the big thing. No attempts. It's a lot of. We'll keep discussing that in a second, or take a quick pause for the cause. Also, is it snowing by you?
Yep.
It's coming down decently. It keeps going from freezing rain, to snow to rain, but
It's snowing pretty hard here.
I mean, I know it sucks for you because you have to shovel your driveway, but at least we get a white Christmas. I
Yeah.
know there's been plenty of Christmases in the last 5 to 10 years where there's no snow.
Yeah, deliver tomorrow.
Wait, you still have to deliver on Christmas Eve?
Yeah,
That fucking sucks.
not the worst.
No, I mean, I get it. It's not going to be super hard for you. It's no different than any other day. The IPs rule, don't they? It's unfortunately the world that we live in. But speaking of another IP, we are theoretically coming to the end of this IP. With the end of May, we also get Mission Impossible: The Final Reckoning.
Yeah, I'd be curious to see if this is actually the end of it.
Theoretically,
I hope it is.
I mean, it's only gotten better with age. The first couple Mission Impossible films, they're good. Don't get me wrong. They still hold up as fun movies. But when you get to Ghost Protocol, there is a huge upturn in quality.
Yeah. I didn't like the last one as much as I liked 4, 5, and 6,
Yeah.
but I still enjoyed Ed Reckoning quite a bit. But I do hope this is the last one.
Well, this is the first
And I
time.
do.
This is the first time Tom Cruise has even shown a little sign of age on his face, where you're like, Tom.
Well, this is the thing is like, I hope that Tom Cruise has enough weight with the franchise to say, this is it. Like, you're not making any of these without me, and you cannot make any of these until I am dead. Like, you're
which
not doing it.
which I'd be fine with. I have no problem
I
if
would love that.
I have no problem if we have a revitalization of a franchise 20 plus years later, depending on what the franchise is. Mission Impossible to
Sure.
me is tailor made for a movie studio because it's not a trilogy. It's just action star goes out and does action.
Yeah. Yeah,
Same
it's
thing.
American James Bond.
I have zero issue with James Bond being continuous all the time because it was never meant to just be a one off or a 3 picture thing. It was meant to be the continuing adventures of James Bond. My shit I always get worried about is when people are like, we should reboot Back to the Future. I'm like, no, we shouldn't.
Ooh.
That is a bad idea. Back to the Future wasn't even supposed to be a trilogy. It was supposed to be one and done. And then Universal said, hey, we're making it whether you want us to or not. You want to be a part of it or not? And that's how they ended up making 2 and 3 with the same team.
That's one episode we could do in the future is what are the great one and done movies of all time? Because there's not many.
There's not a ton, yeah. Specifically movies that could be franchises that you could see like, maybe. But
Yeah. I mean, the only one that I can think of off the top of my head is E.T. Like
yeah.
a true hit that does not have any sequels at all.
Yeah, E.T. I could see. Yeah.
Like it's crazy how like studios just jump on that as
Well,
quickly as
and,
possible.
and also it goes back to a classic conversation we have almost every episode. We as moviegoers are guilty of it too. We go and see it. We don't immediately say, I don't need to see it.
Exactly.
You know, and we
Well,
don't have enough collective to do it.
I'm not guilty of it because I don't go to the theater.
Yeah, you buy it in post if you want it. But
Yeah.
same deal. Like, I didn't want to go to Gladiator 2. I wouldn't have gone to Gladiator 2. I had no intention of going to that movie whatsoever. It's just your schedule and my schedule did not align. And I was like, fuck, we need an episode. Oh, I guess I'll go see Gladiator. Cool.
Yeah. But yeah, like Mission Impossible, I really do hope this is the last one. And Tom Cruise is what? Sick,
Let me look it up.
gotta be at least 60. At least 60, right?
I would assume. Let me look at what's Tom Cruise up to nowadays.
I guess it's 62.
Tom Cruise is 62 years old, and his birthday is July
Okay.
3rd, so he's going to turn 63 this year.
Okay.
I mean, he's been as ageless as you can be. I think Top Gun Maverick is going to be the last time that you. He was still obviously showing Tom Cruise. It's not like he was 86 Top Gun Tom Cruise, but
Yeah.
there's still that like vampire esque feeling about Tom Cruise, even in Top Gun Maverick. You're like, this motherfucker doesn't age. But
Well, yeah.
the
And
trailer for
does
Final
help that like
Reckoning,
they
there's the
do
first
like
signs of that.
they do like some digital de-aging a little bit on him, like touch ups, I'm
Yeah,
sure. But he still like is a true movie star,
yeah.
and he obviously does take incredible like
Care for his
takes
body.
care of himself.
Yes, he does.
Yes, incredibly well. So, and he seems to have gotten over like that strange weirdness that was taking place in
In the
the mid aughts.
yeah. Well, I feel like everyone just kind of accepted that, and then he just never talks about it ever, and it's never brought up.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
to the point where I'm like, is he even still attached to them in a real way, or is it kind of like John
I don't
Travolta
know.
esque?
I don't know.
Because John Travolta went through that big thing too, and
Yeah.
then Travolta just like had like kind of a public falling out, and it's like, are you technically still part of this? And everyone's
Yeah.
just kind of
I
like,
have
I
no
don't know,
idea.
fuck it, it's just John Travolta, who cares?
Yeah. I mean, the more he can distance himself from it, the better for
Right.
him.
Yes.
But yeah, I really do hope that this is the last one, especially considering title.
Yeah.
But
Well, it is always a sham, and it hurts as an audience member. You're like, it's the last one, and then magically a new one comes out, and you're like, I thought we were done with this.
yeah,
What the fuck?
yeah. There's a over right here. It's the Friday the 13th collection.
Oh
I think
God.
there's I think there's three different ones that have a title that suggests it's the last one. Because there's the final chapter. What is it? The final chapter, the final Friday.
Obviously, there's at least two, if not three of them.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. It's crazy. Like they just did not give a shit about reboots or anything.
The only thing that helps them is it's a horror franchise, so you can just keep making that shit. Nobody cares.
Yeah,
It still sucks as a moviegoer when you're like really passionate about it, and you're like, come on, man. Eventually, everything's got to end. But okay, all right. So,
yeah.
yeah, we're theoretically getting the end of Mission Impossible in. The only thing in June that I think is interesting to talk about, 28 years later, have you seen the trailer for this?
No, I intentionally did not watch it because I actually do want to watch this movie.
It looks pretty damn good and intriguing, and I'm someone who's kind of fallen. I came to 28 days later very, very late in the game, especially for someone who likes zombie movies. But it looks very intriguing, very post-apocalyptic. Obviously, it's not as if that was different from the start, but
Yeah,
Ray Fiennes is in it. Aaron Taylor Johnson is the star of the film. Very, very much intriguing and a different look for the franchise. Far more wilderness epic versus stuck in London.
okay.
So I think
Yeah, I it's been a long time since I've seen the second one.
I don't think I've
I've
ever
seen
seen.
28. Oh, I've seen 28 Days Later quite a few times. 28 Weeks Later, I have not. I think I saw it once and it was a long time.
Never
So,
seen it. And at the time, I wasn't into the franchise, so I kind of went, "Who fucking wants this, anyways?" Okay.
Yeah, 28 Days Later, I really like.
It's a great
That's
movie.
a low budget movie.
Low budget movie, but hey, they stretch that budget and they make it work. So good on
Yeah,
them.
that's true.
Hey, Lynn, talk about IPs that just won't go away. Jurassic World Rebirth.
Yeah.
We'll talk about this
A
more in the
franchise I
summer.
wish would just let go.
Talk about something that should have been a one-off.
Yeah,
And the thing is, I like Jurassic World quite a bit. I enjoy Jurassic World, but
fine.
and we're eventually going to be doing an episode of that this year, as it's an anniversary year for it. But woof. Some of the stuff in this franchise is just, you watch Jurassic Park 2 and you're like, I'm watching a different movie than Jurassic Park 1. Or it clips a 3 and you're like, I can't even do this. Same deal that by the end of Jurassic World franchise, you watch it and you're like, I guess they're dinosaurs, sure, but it doesn't have the same like, oh, awesome.
Yeah, I didn't even finish that trilogy. Saw the second one.
Well, apparently it's not
Didn't
even a
watch the
trilogy,
third.
because if you've seen the trailer, fucking Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are in it. It's not even like a new thing. There are new characters that are going to be more of the focus, but it looks like they're
Mean
still essential.
in this new one,
Yeah.
or what do you mean?
So this new one, it's I from the look of the trailer that's been released, Scarlett Johansson is trying to figure out, apparently the dinosaurs, a consequence of them being brought back to life is that they carry like a virus that could kill off humanity and kill off a bunch of other animals in the world. So then they're put into this, like, because the whole last trilogy was about animal rights, like they deserve to live, right? Which is hilarious for the idea of dinosaurs being brought back by science, and they were like, no, we need to protect them, and you're kind of like, yes, but if they run amok to the point where they're killing humanity, no.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
It's a
I
it's I don't know
that
if
in
it's the best. I don't know if it's the best avenue to tell an animal rights story. That's all I'm saying.
yes, no, that's 100%.
Right. So, and that was what the whole last trilogy about. And now it's, you know, apparently Chris Pratt and Bryce Dallas Howard are going to have at least a decently prominent role in it.
Uh,
Where
I thought this was like a reboot
no, it's a
of
continuation essentially. And I'm like, what the fuck are we? But yeah, it's called Jurassic World Rebirth. It makes no sense because it tells you in the
that makes me
title.
even yeah, that makes me even less excited about it.
Yeah, whatever. I don't. It didn't look super great, but hey.
Okay, so now I went from 1% interested to 0%.
Now we go to a movie that looks intriguing. I assume. Have you seen the trailer for this? For Superman?
Yes, I did actually watch it.
It looks incredible. By
I
Superman standards, it looks real cool.
I do enjoy. I don't know if I love the looks a little too like I don't know how I'd phrase it. Doesn't look out there enough for James Gunn, you know?
So this is
But
certainly
that's
something.
also just like
Yeah.
it's the first in like a cinematic universe, so like how strange you actually want to go with it,
You.
I guess.
So I think with the thing that's being replaced here is James Gunn. When he took over DC with Peter Safran, I was a little concerned because although I love James Gunn's work, if you told me we're going to have one guy as a unifying vision running DC and you say it's James Gunn, I obviously think the quality's going to raise up more than Zack Snyder, but it feels again like you're trusting the wrong person to have the vision to start everything. Because James Gunn does things that are very unique and interesting to James Gunn. But he doesn't always make movies that are, tailor made for giant audiences everywhere. Guardians of the
Sure.
Galaxy proved that he could do that,
Yeah.
but
I guess
also he
I'm still
benefited
talking
from the
from like a
fact that Guardians was the first one that got to be really weird in the MCU, where they got to say, "No, this is a
Yeah.
comic book movie now."
I guess I'm talking purely from a visual aesthetic.
Sure.
Like, I love the look of Guardians. How it's like all the weird neon and all that.
Yeah.
It looks so completely unique. But maybe who knows? This is just a trailer. Like
Yeah.
it can it could be completely different, but for one, I love that to actually show Superman saving people.
Who would
Like
have
there's
thought?
a shot of him saving a little girl. It's like, "Oh wow, Superman's actually saving humanity."
Who
It's
would have
strange
thought?
to see that.
Well, I also love the shot of the kid pulling up the flag with the Superman logo on it, and he's just it's
Yeah.
clearly they show it in multiple little sections that there's clearly a war going on somewhere, and the kid just being a kid, he's just like the only thing that'll help us right now in a kid's mind is Superman. Please come help us. And it's tremendous because that's the way kind of like some of the scenes that Zack Snyder did that looked impressive, but didn't really get the point that Superman was kind of this like
Yeah.
otherworldly god to help people. That's the perfect way to do it. Very personal. The innocence of a child, please, just pleading, please, please, please get me Superman. And I love it because the trailer immediately sets the tone that you know this is not. It doesn't feel like the start of a cinematic universe. It feels like we trust our audience. They'll get it. There are other
Yeah.
characters in this universe. I mean, fuck, they have like shown in comic book form. Superman, Lex Luthor, Crypto the Super Dog.
Yeah, I was gonna say I like
Yes.
that they're just embracing weirdness from the start.
Yeah,
Like that's cool.
but on top of that, Hawk Girl, Guy Gardner Green Lantern when he looks the most ridiculous he could possibly look. The most ridiculous iteration of
Okay.
that Guy Gardner character.
I didn't know who that was. Yeah.
That is bowl cut 80s 90s esque Guy Gardner. And it makes no sense, but I'm here for it. And especially Nathan Fillion in that role will be great. Mr. Terrific, Metamorpho. These are not premier DC characters we're here talking about. Yet, chef's fucking kiss. They're just trusting their audience, and that's where I think now I can kind of be like, okay, maybe this was the right choice. Because it looks great. And I loved some of the
Also,
commentary coming out of the way they cast the movie.
I really want to point out I've seen what minutes of footage from the movie.
Yep.
I can tell you already that those two have more chemistry than Amy Adams and Henry Cavill ever did.
Well, I was gonna say the biggest part about it is in interviews since the trailer or around the trailer coming out is James Gunn, to use the internet term Clois, James Gunn did not cast Clark Kent and Lois Lane. He cast Clois as in no. I need to find these two that make it work. I can't find Clark and Lois and then make it work. And to me, I think is a tremendous idea. And I think Rachel Brosnahan as Lois Lane is a great choice. Love her work with Marvelous Miss Maisel. I've been waiting for her to break out a little bit more into the mainstream scene of film, so I think that's going to be a lot of fun. We'll obviously talk Superman a lot more during our summer preview episode, which is going to come out at the end of April. But that'll be fun. Again, we're getting IPs just ruling again the following week. July 18th. I know what you did last summer is getting a reboot. Okay.
Stars in it.
I didn't even look it up. I was like, okay, cool. It makes sense. I mean, that franchise is over 25 years old. If you're gonna do it, I guess at least
That one
I'm
at
not
least.
offended by it.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one at least doesn't have like that's had some time to die down at least. So I'm like, okay, sure, why
Right.
not?
But we also get
Okay, a
Marvel's
decent cast.
we get Marvel's third film of the year right after that as well.
Okay, what is that?
Fantastic Four: First Steps, and that at least looks intriguing.
of all the Marvel ones, that's the one I'm most intrigued by. And then that's purely just because cast.
I mean, it's a good cast. You've got Pedro Pascal, Vanessa Kirby, Joseph Quinn, and Eben Moss Backrack. I don't know how to pronounce his name. He's from The Bear. I love his work. Everything I've seen of it. I really like him as an
Yeah.
actor.
I really am looking forward to seeing I really like Vanessa Kirby quite a bit.
I do too.
So Pedro Pascal and her seem like they could be a lot of fun together.
Yes. Well, I also
So
love part of the thing I think that sucks in previous iterations of the Fantastic Four that I think might get done well properly here is what Pedro Pascal is going to bring to the role. Where in the comic books, the difficult part with the Fantastic Four, but makes it more compelling, is Reed Richards is the smartest man on the planet, but his own drive and his own he's too smart for his own good sometimes, and then it alienates people around him to the point where they're like, we can't trust this guy because he's just gonna go for it all the time, and a lot of what he does is risky as fuck. But what brings you back is, as a comic book reader, you're like, oh, I love Reed. I mean, he's super smart and he's always coming up with these great ideas and whatever, and there's something enamoring, there's something to bite your teeth into a little bit, which is why Fantastic Four, even as many times as they've had horrible comic book runs and horrible movies and even animated shows and shit, people still want to see the Fantastic Four work. I think Pedro can bring that likability to Reed in a way that many people can't. So I'm hoping that works out. Obviously, we now know that we're getting the return of Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom eventually.
oh yeah, I forgot about
So that to me, which also, all due respect to that casting, that to me just screamed desperation. But
yep.
I mean, hopefully it works out. I don't know if he's going to be a variant Tony Stark or if he's going to be Victor Von Doom and they're going to explain it somehow. I have no idea. But nonetheless, here we are. But it'll be fun to get to see how that all plays out. Because I find it hard to believe after that casting and going into the two new Avengers films that they're making, find it hard to believe you're not going to see Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, at least in a scene for Fantastic Four. But we'll have to wait and see.
Yeah.
So, but it's certainly the most intriguing Marvel property of the year, especially on the film side. We continue August. There's a few things that you could grab. Freakier Friday was one that looked. I was like, oh, we're doing this again. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, good for
Not
Lindsay
interested.
Lohan. She's kind of making a comeback. Good for her. You know,
Yeah. What I
I,
mean,
it's good. Just it's good to see someone who struggled a lot that was clearly so prominent. Like, can you imagine what would happen if Lindsay Lohan had her shit together and wasn't just guided by some of the worst people in the world? How big of a star
yeah,
she'd
that's
be.
true.
Because
Yeah.
truly, especially as a teen actor and a young 20s actor, she's actually quite compelling and interesting, and people want to watch her.
And she was talented, yeah.
Yeah, so it's one of those that she just disappears for like 15 years because bad life choices and bad
Yeah.
counsel and too much too soon, and a culture that didn't understand. We're still not great about it, but we're far better with young people protecting them from fame versus just being like, well,
Well,
we want you all the time
yeah.
everywhere, and you're like, no.
Yeah, and her family did not seem to know.
Exactly. So I mean, but that was the only thing I thought was intriguing about August. There wasn't a lot else there. September, we start getting what we talked about in our 2024 review episode about horror movies. We get Conjuring Last Rites. Hopefully, this is the last. I I
Yeah.
I find it hard to believe it's going to be, but I hope it's the end. I enjoy the first Conjuring movie. I haven't really gone anywhere in the Conjuring universe
I would
since.
I would assume this will be at least the last one with Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga.
I mean,
I would
hopefully.
think so. I mean, unless they just keep paying them like enormous enormous amount of money, which they could. But
I mean, good on them to
those
get the
movies,
money, but nonetheless, yeah.
yeah, those movies do make a lot of money. But yeah, I would think as actually not many places for those characters to go.
Yeah.
I think.
Another thing that is interesting, on the same day we get another a double horror release. Saw 11 comes out on the 26th of September. How do you feel about that
I'm
one?
trying to think of what the last Saw movie was. Was what I don't think it was Spiral. Did you see Spiral?
I haven't seen
The one with
I've
Chris
never seen
Rock?
a single Saw movie ever. I've seen pieces of
Oh,
a couple of them.
okay. The one with Chris Rock, Spiral, was so bad. It is laughably bad though. It's like Chris Rock makes some of the weirdest acting choices in it. It's so strange.
Well, there you
Um,
go.
and then the last, but I don't think that was the last Saw movie. I think the last Saw movie was actually had Tobin Bell in it. That one was okay, but yeah,
Talk about a
that's the
franchise that
franchise. I
just won't
that
die.
should just
It, but
yeah,
it,
that should just go
I
away.
think Saw is the closest thing in modern terms to a classic horror franchise that you're just like, they're just gonna keep making them.
Yeah,
Where
that's like
The Conjuring, they kind of spun it off with like Annabelle and other stuff, so it wasn't just the same stuff over and over again. But then they keep going back to the well. Where Saw is very much just like cool
yeah, the Saw movies are definitely the Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street,
of our
Halloween.
generation, yeah.
Yeah,
But also coming out that time is The Bride, which is directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal, stars Jake Gyllenhaal, Christian Bale, a couple other prominent actors, and it's set in 1930 Chicago, and the Frankenstein monster played by Christian Bale asks Dr. Euphorius, not Dr. Pretorius, to make a female companion. So it's like set in like Prohibition era Chicago. This is a weird amalgamation of stuff, but very prominent people who I think could do something pretty fun and exciting. So I'm intrigued by this film.
it's odd.
Yeah,
It's directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal.
directed by Maggie Gyllenhaal.
If she's directed any,
I know
what
she's
it?
directed something else, but I just thought there was a very
I
intriguing concept. And anytime I get to see The Bride of Frankenstein, I'm usually pretty happy because she's awesome.
yeah, it seems like a weird combination.
It's just a
Oh
weird
yeah,
amalgamation of stuff.
yeah. She directed a movie called The Lost Daughter, which came out a couple years ago. I didn't watch it, but I heard a lot of good things about it. So but that's like just pure drama.
Okay.
It had like no genre bent at all.
I assume this is
Um,
going to be pure drama, but I just don't like. There's a lot of Prohibition era Chicago gangsters. I know the 1920s was more prominent for that, but the 1930s were still very much part of that ilk
yeah,
and time frame. You know, people don't realize they're like, no, it's the 20s. I'm like, no, that stretches into the 30s too, dude. Like, gotta
yeah,
learn your shit. But also, it's a horror thing, but it could be a love story. I don't know. It sounds strange, but it sounds interesting. And also not set for release, but is expected to come out in 2025 because it's in post production. Is Guillermo del Toro's version of Frankenstein, where we get Christoph Waltz as Dr. Pretorius, and I'm like, that could be pretty fun. So it's an interesting. It's
yeah,
interesting to get two Frankenstein pictures in the same year, but it sounds like wildly different versions.
yeah. I would assume his is definitely a one where it's actually going to be a period piece. I I really hope his is a period piece because I really love like the production design of his movies
Yeah,
and their period pieces.
we'll have to wait
Because
and see
even
though.
Yeah, like Nightmare Alley, which I didn't love as a movie. I love looking at it. Beautifully. Um,
Well, everything he does is just
but
unique and weird and interesting and fun.
yeah, exactly. I hope that does come out this year. I don't know why it wouldn't if it's already in post production.
But nonetheless, we have that. Then we go into October. Two of the most notable movies, Tron Ares, which who the fuck wants another Tron movie?
Yeah. Is
Why?
it? Do you know who's in it?
I'll look it up quick. I mean, I just don't understand. I never understood why people gave a shit about Tron. I just never
Oh
have.
no, I it doesn't make sense. I'm just wondering, does it have any connection to the Tron legacy at all?
I mean, it
If
has
it
to.
does, like, oh
Okay, so yeah, standalone sequel to Tron Legacy. And I'm gonna go to IMDb just so I don't get any false casting stuff here. Okay, so top cast: Jodie Turner Smith, Jeff Bridges is back, Gillian
okay.
Anderson, Evan Peters, Jared Leto, Cameron Moynihan.
Oh, so it doesn't seem like most of the cast is back then.
Yeah,
Okay,
I mean
so
it's an
I was gonna
interesting
say,
cast. I mean, shit. Even Hassan Minaj has a part. Arturo Castro, who is very famous in our house from his time as Jaime in Broad City. But
yeah,
Cameron
I thought
Moynihan
when you
getting a
said
chance is there. That's pretty
when
cool.
you said standalone sequel, I was like, wow, that is too little, too late for a
Yeah.
sequel to
Well, I
that
mean, same
movie.
thing with Tron. I mean, Tron comes out 30 years almost after the original Tron, and you just go,
Yeah,
why
but that
people?
one you could argue. That one you could argue at least like, oh, it's a cult classic. Like,
It's called classic, and
try
the
to get
visuals
some,
have updated, so now we can actually do something with it.
yeah,
Sure.
try to get some nostalgia. But like, I don't think there's any nostalgia for Tron Legacy.
Yeah. So, but there you go. And then also coming out, there's yet to be a trailer, but Mortal Kombat 2 is supposed to be released, the sequel to the new Mortal Kombat movies. I will give Mortal Kombat this credit. I don't think the newer Mortal Kombat movie is good, but I think it's self-aware. I don't think it's trying to be anything it's not. It's supposed to
Yeah,
just be big fun
I was gonna
action
say,
and
yeah, I had fun with it.
just enjoy the lore of Mortal Kombat, which is actually pretty intriguing. I will say every time a Mortal Kombat game is released now, as they do a very good job with the story for the most part, I do watch all the cutscenes in movie format, but I never play the game because it's just not my cup of tea. As a
Yeah,
game, the only thing that's even remotely close to Mortal Kombat that I like is Injustice. That's just because of DC. But Mortal Kombat 2. And then we
yeah.
go to
I don't really remember how that last one ended though. Like that movie did not stick with me at all.
Sub Zero is killed by Scorpion.
Yeah, that's all.
It's
Like,
about it. It's about all I
yeah,
got for you. And who knows? Who the fuck knows? But they did Scorpion right, so that's cool and fun to see. And then we get into November. When I first saw this, I was extremely disappointed, but I'm intrigued now. We on the 21st of November, we are getting Wicked for Good, so we'll talk about that in a second. But we are getting the remake of The Running Man, which is written
yep.
under the Stephen King pseudonym, but starring Glenn Powell and directed by Edgar Wright. And I was like, that's at least interesting. I I personally love the original Running Man. I know it's super 80s, but I fucking love that movie. It is one of my absolute favorites. And to see it's getting remade, I'm like, ugh. Then I'm like, oh, Glenn Powell's in it. I was like, okay, he usually doesn't make bad things. And then I was like, oh,
Yeah.
Edgar Wright's making this movie. That could be really interesting.
Well,
Okay.
they keep announcing cast members for it, and they used to be pretty like they seem to be throwing like an amount of money.
I mean, Josh
Like,
Brolin's in this movie. I think he's playing the villainous character. I'm gonna look at it up right now.
Oh, here I got it right here.
Okay,
So Josh Brolin, Lee Pace,
I do like Lee
Michael
Pace.
Cera, William H Macy, Amelia Jones. Yeah. So
Okay, I mean that's a cast. It's a good set of crew members.
yeah.
I just hope it
Oh,
captures the fun spirit of the original. Whether you think that movie's good or not, you can't say Running Man isn't fun. Running Man's fun,
I'm if it's Edgar Wright, I'm sure it's gonna be very similar in tone to the original.
which I'm all here for because that movie's
Yeah.
awesome. I fucking love Running.
Yeah.
But then we get the sequel or the part two of Wicked, which is Wicked for Good. Yeah. To me, Wicked was good, not great. Dylan has yet to see it as of recording, so I think the music. I wasn't wowed by the music, admittedly, until Defying Gravity in the first part. I know there are a couple of
Yeah,
the other really
that's
prominent
a
numbers in the
standout.
film. I mean, Defying Gravity is the song of the stage production. I know that,
Yeah.
but apparently, like a lot of the stronger numbers are moved into this section. And as we said on the 2024 review, apparently there's new songs being added to the second
Yeah,
part.
two new songs.
Bold choice for something with as much of a rabid fan base as Wicked has, but okay. Again, I think it's far more spectacle and it's far more sizzle than there is steak there, but we'll see how it goes. I think it should still be an enjoyable experience. Then to end the year off, we got two sequels. Zootopia 2 finally coming out at the end of November, which I'm okay with. Is it
10 years.
for 10 years though? That's kind of the Disney formula though. They either do it right away or they wait a long time to do sequels.
That's all. That does not make sense to me.
I know, but that's just what Disney does. It's
Yeah, 9 years is. I don't know. I mean, the first one didn't make like box office, but it was really well respected. So I'm sure the
well,
second
it's
one will do better.
it's super well respected, and word of mouth was really positive.
Exactly. So
Where
I'm sure the
people
second
ask,
one's
they just
going
go,
to do.
okay. Yeah. So Zootopia 2, and we're gonna end our preview with Avatar: Fire and Ash. We gotta get some
Yep.
Cameron's fart sniffing here. So
I'm excited for it. I liked Way of Water more than the first one.
Wave Water's far superior to the original.
So I pretty much I enjoy those movies. One for the visual effects are like incredible in those movies.
Oh, you
It
can't,
has to be
yeah,
said. Like
can't deny that. Can't deny
every
that.
time there's like groundbreaking effects that Weta like invents completely new like systems,
Yeah.
or they like yeah they trademark new systems of visual effects for.
Yeah.
And I really really enjoy Zoe Saldana's performances in those movies.
Okay.
So and I do Tim Worthington's fine in them, but like I do enjoy like the family aspect of it now. Like
That made it far more redeemable in my eyes. That's why Wave Water I find to be far
yeah,
more positive. Avatar the original I think is one
exactly.
of the most overrated movies ever.
Yeah,
And
had it just been just the two of them again, Sam Worthington and Joy Saldana, just those two, it would have been like, okay, fine, whatever. But now that it's like a whole family, it's like, okay, it's at least more characters to root for.
we'll see how it all goes. I mean, do you remember when this was supposed to be back to back to back to back?
Oh yeah,
And apparently there's still going to be two more of them after this one. I'm like, there's no
yep.
way in hell I believe James Cameron's going to get these movies out on a yearly basis. There's just no way. Because this was supposed to be that. Way of Water was delayed like 3 fucking times or like 5 fucking times.
Well, Way of Water was 2022,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So every 3 years, yeah,
Man, there's no
not a
way
good
he's
track
gonna.
record.
There's no way he's gonna get it out on. releases. None. But for the fans that like it, hopefully they fucking love it. That's all I got.
I mean, I always enjoy them. I don't think they're. It's funny that they always get nominated for Best Picture. I don't know if
Wait, Way of the
they
Water was
deserve that.
nominated for Best Picture?
Yeah,
No.
yeah, so was the first one.
That movie is
So
middle of the road.
I wouldn't go that far, but
I mean, it looks
yeah,
great,
they
but
always
it's
get
it's it's above average. That's what I would call Way of Water. Above
sure
average.
a good movie. Yeah, I don't think it deserves Best Picture, but yeah, it is curious that devoting pretty much his entire life to those movies now,
Oh yeah.
which I think it's a shame, but what are you gonna do?
Yeah, I mean, maybe once he's done, maybe he does kind of the Ridley Scott thing, where just kind of just jumps from project to project for a little while and makes a movie almost every year. But I doubt it.
Well, the thing with Ridley Scott is he can make a movie quickly. James Cameron cannot.
No, James
So
Cameron needs like 72 billion years to get the movie where he wants it to be.
exactly. So he's too much of a perfectionist to make it quickly.
Alas, that is the final film that we'll be talking about in this preview section of this show. But it's been fun and enjoyable. I'm looking forward to some of these. Obviously, we got a lot of sequels. We got a lot of properties. Uh, but that's kind of the modern movie going experience. So you just kind of what you like, and what you don't like, you don't like. It's kind of what it is. And that's always
Yeah.
what movies have been, but we don't have original IP anymore for the most part. I'm just looking. Is there a single thing that's of what we talked about? One. There are two films that we talked about that are not sequels or part of properties. And that is Mickey
Um,
17 and The Bride. And The Bride technically does not count, but kind of counts. So we'll give it, just for the sake of argument, we'll give it to The Bride.
yeah.
And like, the Wolfman will be wildly different than, or Wolfman will be wildly different than the Wolfman we generally know. But at the
Yeah.
same time,
At
you're
least a
like,
different take.
yes, but I mean, it's all pre-existing stuff, and that's just the way movies are
The
nowadays.
modern
Unfortunately,
world.
it's a modern world we live in, but that is what we got, and we're gonna enjoy what we get as much as we possibly can. That has been our 2025 movie preview. Let us know what you guys are looking forward to. Obviously, you could probably tell from my tone, Superman is by far the thing I'm most excited about, especially after that trailer. But I'm just excited to explore the DC universe with someone who gives a shit about the DC universe. That's just me. But let us know what you like, and you can look forward to some really cool stuff coming over this year. We're going to be doing a movie tournament bracket around March Madness time. We're going to be revealing our top 100 films of all time, which is going to be a very unique dichotomy into seeing the differences between Dylan and myself. We're going to have a lot of cool things on the channel. And we're also going to be doing a movie character Royal Rumble at the end of this month to coincide with the Royal Rumble, which is slated for Dylan's birthday, actually. February 1st is the Royal Rumble. So we are going to be doing the movie character Royal Rumble right beforehand. So it's going to be a lot of fun. That's going to be a crossover episode with the Onetta Show. But we're going to have a heck of a lot of fun doing it. I hope you guys have a heck of a lot of fun following us and listening wherever you can in 2025. And we appreciate 2024 support as much as possible like you did. So thank you for that. But for the both of us, peace, love, and hugs to you all. Go watch a great movie.